Jupiter Broadcasting presents this show in mega stereo sound. This episode brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
This week on the Linux Action Show, we're on location and rocking the action live. We give you the highlights from LinuxFest Northwest and get the inside scoop on this week's big stories. Then we'll inform your face with Attachmate's big plans for OpenSUSE, plus so much more. Oh, this week on the Linux Action Show.
Hi everyone, it's Chris here with a quick apology for the audio in this episode. It's going to be a little glitchy. It's just something that worked its way into the recordings we did at LinuxFest, sort of a symptom of a new live setup. Major apologies. It sucks too because this is a really good episode. We've got a quick cameo appearance by Randall Schwartz from Floss Weekly, and then later we're joined by the head of the Linux Foundation, and he also happens to be heavily involved in the OpenSUSE project. So please try to bear through the audio issues. Our apologies for that, and do enjoy the show.
And welcome to Season 16, Episode 7 of Linux Action Show. My name is Brian. That guy over there, Chris.
Hey there, Brian. The bomb-defeating robot from right here at LinuxFest Northwest. It runs Linux.
The bomb-defeating robot that I found out about after it was done defeating bombs, and nobody told me beforehand that there was a bomb-defeating robot over there.
I mean, you go to LinuxFest Northwest, you expect a lot of things, Brian, but the one thing you don't expect is a bomb-defeating robot. So it's just not on your radar.
No, you don't think about it.
You got to come prepared for everything.
I know, and after they told me about it, they're like, oh yeah, it's still over there. Yeah. It could still be defeating bombs over there. So I go over to this parking lot where they have this robot with like fake bombs, which I wanted to see
everywhere.
One thing,
get your hopes up.
I wanted to know what the fake bombs were. I don't even know. And I got nothing.
I think they were hot dog bombs because you can't do actual bombs, and hot dog bombs sound safe.
What the hell is a hot dog bomb?
Delicious. I also got a consolation prize, though. I got to look into the telescope right up at the sun, and the first thing I thought is that's going to just, Superman right into my eye kind of a thing. But no.
It was awesome, wasn't it? You could see all the little flares around the edge of the sun, and it just made you realize that we're all about to die.
So we're live here at LinuxFest Northwest, if you haven't picked up on it. It's a Linux Action Show on location.
Yes.
And yesterday we recorded our Ubuntu 11.04 review, and that'll be out in a separate release. So
we will not be reviewing it in this episode.
No.
When it comes to the news, we will tell you that it happened, and then we will jump right past it.
Sort of anti-climactic. But we do have a heck of a show lined up. Before we get to all of that, why don't we say good morning, a happy Sunday to GoDaddy.com and Danica Patrick.
That is a great point, because Danica Patrick is amazing and is really good at registering domain names.
She is.
If you go to GoDaddy.com and type in Linux, you get 10%?
10% off.
You get 10% off. I've been saying this for like 4 years and I don't remember.
Yeah.
But Danica Patrick is awesome. Linux 20, 20% off hosting, GoDaddy.com. Thank you, GoDaddy.com, on location.
I believe Danica bought the LinuxFest Northwest domain and then donated it to the people, the good folks here in Bellingham.
Yeah, that's the word on the street.
Linux, and they used our promo code Linux20 to host the LinuxFest Northwest site.
Well, we're here actually at LinuxFest. So this is actually where we're having like a little live audience here. As everyone has heard that rumor, right?
You guys have heard that? They're talking about that in the hallway, right? No?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Right. Everybody's shaking their head.
They're all sheepishly shaking
their
head.
All right, we've got a couple of picks. The first one is my Android pick, and then we've got Brian's desktop Linux pick. And now the one I'm going for might be the obvious choice, so I apologize. But you know what? It actually has a fair amount of awesome. And it's the new Google's official Google Docs application for Android, Brian.
Yeah.
And this thing is sweet. First of all, it lets you take a picture of text and then import it into a doc, which saves it to Google Docs.
But from everything I've read, it does it really crappily. Have you been using it all the time and been like, wow, that's accurate text that I'm going to use?
I've only used it for reviewing and editing. I haven't tried the picture feature, but I like that it's there, and I think that's a good first step.
It's cool.
I can't hold Google Docs responsible for people's crappy cameras, Brian.
You mean Google phone, Android phone crappy cameras?
Mm-hmm. What I do is I take it on my digital SLR and then I import it onto my. No, I'm kidding. No, but check out the Google Docs.
Cool enough.
Of course, it's free, and it's just an awesome Google Docs application.
Well, it's better than using the little Google Docs web UI from the phone because it works.
The UI it's good. It's clean. It's very I don't know. It's their new sort of compact look. They're going for Android. So I think it's a pretty good app.
You mean
overall.
their boring look?
It's a little boring.
It's a little boring,
but it's functional.
It's a lot of boring,
and it's not too much in your face.
Huh.
So let's talk about your app pick.
Yeah, because mine's much more interesting. My pick for this week is Midori. Midori is a web browser. I've actually, in the show notes, you'll find a link to the Wikipedia page. Don't go and look at their official homepage because it's really, really ugly, and that will give you a bad impression of the application. Because the application is really beautiful, really fast, and really slick.
And it passes the acid test.
Imagine this. Imagine, Google's Chrome only like 4 times faster.
Really?
And it's maybe not necessarily just rendering, but the whole UI, the tabs,
it looks slick.
Everything is just mega fast. It's
it looks
very lightweight.
Actually, it looks kind of Mac OS.
Yet it's very. I think that's just the theme on that screenshot.
I think so.
But you can apply a lot of themes to it, and it works very, very well. So of course, it's built on WebKit, so it works nicely. You get all the HTML5 videos over YouTube. Everything works great.
Yeah.
And it's just a great web browser. That's typically what I run at home because, well, all the other web browsers make me angry.
I understand.
So Midori is probably one of my favorite web browsers out there right now.
That's cool.
And one cool bit is what was it? XFCE. I believe it's the XFCE desktop uses Midori as the default.
I believe I remember hearing that, or at least I know they changed up their desktop. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
There you have it, B-Man. All right, well, we've got one heck of a news story, so let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
Oh, all right, Brian. Boy, we've got a ton of stuff in the news docket this week.
We have like 5 things in the news docket.
I know, but we're going to have fun with the news docket. I'm excited. But that's coming up later.
I think that qualifies as we have a couple of things to talk about for news this week.
But they're good ones.
Yeah, they're good ones.
We're going to have a special guest join us later. But
seriously, I'm just saying, I think that saying a ton of stuff is like exaggerating a bit.
No.
I think it's kind of pumping up the value of this show.
Brian.
5 things.
Unfortunately, you're currently working under an erroneous assumption. I slide the value of a ton. It's a variable.
The word erroneous?
Well, you're being erroneous right now. What do you think I'm going to use? Let's talk about our first news story.
Yeah.
Our first news story is Attachmate reveals their plans for SUSE Linux and OpenSUSE project, which is pretty one of these things that people have been really wondering what's going on now that Novell is sort of
super cool
getting acquired by Attachment.
Right. So the basic gist of it is this: they're going to now that they have Novell, which has SUSE, they're taking the SUSE guys and moving them under their own product division. So they are no longer under Novell. So it's no longer Novell's SUSE. It is simply just SUSE and
Attachments.
It's just Attachmates,
which is interesting.
And the management is actually going back to Germany.
Wow.
Right? That's what's happening with SUSE, right?
According to Attachmates plans that were released yesterday while you were presenting.
You mean the Attachmate group?
The Attachmate
group.
We
have somebody.
We have one of the SUSE guys over here in the audience. That helps us very much to actually.
So here's what it says. This is the OpenSUSE project is a great example of a vibrant and healthy collaboration. SUSE sponsorship and participation in projects like OpenSUSE create a value for the community and also value for SUSE customers who benefit from the innovations and advancements that we create together.
I am bored. That sounds great, but I'm already bored. That's really boring speak, but this sounds awesome. I like all of this. What would the major
problem be? We'll repeat what he says off my mic.
There's a lot of Americans involved.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot more accepting of people calling it SUSE.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying the Germans are really particular on how it's pronounced?
All right, so just to be clear, how are we supposed to say Susie or SUSE or
SUSE?
SUSE.
SUSE. Like
a sousaphone.
Like a sousaphone.
SUSE. We're going to forget this by next episode.
But thank you for helping. I mean, you tried real hard. We appreciate that.
Thank you. We also don't know how to say Ubuntu, apparently, so no big deal.
Yeah.
All right.
I kind of just deciding these are the names they picked. That we're going to get hate mail now.
So there's going to be angry Germans knocking down the Linux Action Show doors. You know what? There's already a lot of those.
I'll tell you,
it's all good.
I'll tell you my walk away impressions of this story is that it's just Attachment reaffirming that they're committed to the OpenSUSE and SUSE projects.
Yeah, it's great.
That's it.
No big deal.
So sounds good. But let's talk about this other cool story that came out. And this is one that you found that I am really excited about, especially if you're looking for low power solutions.
Dude, this thing looks incredibly cool.
Yeah. It's a dual core ARM desktop, and it's called Trim Slice. That's an awesome name. And it's just literally like itsy-binsy.
It is 0.6 inches thick.
which is like a hair thicker than a USB plug.
Seriously.
And it's a full desktop computer that can run Linux.
It's a full thing, and it's like 3 inches wide, thereabouts, and it weighs just like nothing.
It's
And
ultra low power. It's got a dual core
cool.
Tegra 2 in it as well, so you can get some actual decent HD playback and
It's
stuff like that.
basically a full ARM-powered netbook smashed into like this, basically about like this size with some USB plugs on it, and it's a full desktop.
They're claiming 1080p HDMI audio out with 5.1 digital surround sound, as well as an Ethernet port, which is nice in a small device like this, 4 USB ports, and a micro USB. You know what this has?
So cool.
This is multimedia box all over.
Multimedia box, small web server.
Yeah.
That you could do lots of little problems with.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this could be a fun little rig. Is there any like listing of price on
Yeah, they're
this?
going to go $199 for the bare bones edition, and then they're talking $219 for the value edition, which comes with 4 gigs of RAM, and then $319 if you're a baller.
It's a 4 gig micro SD card.
Oh yeah, not RAM, micro SD. Yeah, and then $319 for the Pro version, where you get a 32 gig SSD. Not just even micro, but an
Just
SSD.
a full 32 gig SSD.
Yeah,
That's
which is
awesome.
nice. And you also get
awesome.
you also get dual HDMI and DV out, which is pretty slick.
Dude, that's crazy cool.
Yeah, so neat little thing. We'll have the notes in the. We'll have a link in the show notes if you want to check that out.
Dude, yeah, get a little USB dongle for a remote control on that, and you're done.
Man, think about all the little things, all the bomb-destroying robots you could build with things like this.
We were here. So over on the exhibit floor here at LinuxFest Northwest, there was a company. What were they called?
Tell me more.
The company that makes all those machines. Anyone remember the desktop and laptop builders
Pogo?
over there? Not Pogo. The guy sitting next to him.
The other guys, the guys with the new Harkin laptop.
And
Did you guys
now
see
I
those
feel
guys?
terrible that I don't remember the name. Zarizen. They have this desktop setup
Jeremy's got the
that
card.
is totally awesome and comes with a little keyboard, because the whole idea is, you plug it into your home theater system, you have a keyboard.
Yeah.
It is about yay big. It's about the size of my fist. It's small.
It's adorable.
It's a little thumb pad with a tiny little touch pad next to it. It's all backlit and cool and has like arrow keys on it. It's awesome.
It's like
Get one of those.
It's like that
plug it
Sony
into that.
Like that
So
Sony
cool.
remote you saw for the Google TV that was ridiculous. It's like all of that stuff, only you could hold it with one hand.
And here's the thing: that little ARM-based guy, almost any input device you get for it is going to be larger than it, and that's cool.
That's a funny way to look at it. All right, we got another story here we want to talk about. It's Firefox, because I've been suffering with the new Firefox 4 a little bit.
Because it sucks.
Well, it's just a little pokey sometimes, and so the news is coming out that we're actually going to get official performance builds for Linux. So that's
What does
really
that mean?
cool. That means that these are going to be builds optimized to run on Linux built with GCC 4.5.
Well, that's
so
nice.
it's supposed to be able to take advantage of a little more efficiencies, and they call it aggressive optimizations, and profile guided optimization has been enabled.
Profile guided.
I think that's a new GCC thing, but I don't know.
Great.
So
Do
anyway,
they have any like timeline of when we're going to see that?
I think the builds are starting to become available now, and I'll include a link in the show notes for
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, so if
That's
you've been,
awesome. I would like
you've
that.
been running that. Now, also, of course, like we mentioned at the top of the show, we have an Ubuntu 11.04 review, but we should just give it a mention in the news docket that the new Ubuntu did ship. Ubuntu 11.04 is out.
It's out, and we reviewed it.
Yep, it's got Unity in it. It's got all kinds of new fancy features and things like
Yeah,
that.
you know the typical the sled of things. One nice little bit is they finally ditched Rhythmbox, which is cool. So now they're on Banshee, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
So overall it's cool. But check out our review for thoughts.
Now, and we'll have probably the full review up on our website at Jupiter Broadcasting.
And let me say this as a personal note to all the fine folks at Canonical. I'm sorry. You guys are very pretty, and I like what you do.
Please don't feel hurt.
Correct.
They're probably going to see this first, and now they're all paranoid.
Yeah, well, they should be.
Yeah.
We were a little mean.
Now, Brian, along the lines of Ubuntu, I thought we ought to take advantage of our resident podcast we have in the studio, in the audience here with us, Randall Schwartz from Floss Weekly.
Come on over, Randall.
Come on over, Randall. He's
over
going to
here.
join us, and he's going to talk about the next news story with us. Yeah. Round of applause for Randall there.
Nice to see you, Randall.
Well, welcome to the show, Randall. Welcome to the Linux Action Show. Thanks for joining us. Now, it came out while we were here that the next version of Ubuntu is going to come out, and it's going to be Ubuntu 11.10, so October. And Brian, you just want to give a go at the name here?
All right. Here's the code name for Ubuntu 11.10. Oneiric Ocelot.
Say what?
Ocelot, I think I got
All right.
it. Is Ocelot the right way to say that?
Ocelot?
Sure.
Okay, we got Ocelot. Okay.
So how do you...
What do you think,
Eric?
Randall? You want to give a pass at that one?
What's that
Oh
word?
man, One Eric.
One
Now,
Iric.
as a fellow podcaster, you suffer along with us. What do you think of these crazy names?
It seems odd, but it's a great way to be distinct about that.
It definitely is.
It's probably better than just saying version 4 or version 5.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Now, the chat room pointed out earlier that word,
Yeah.
however you pronounce it, stands for dreamlike.
Dreamlike.
Ooh, a
Chat room points
dreamy
out dreamlike.
ocelot.
Oneric ocelot.
Eric.
I see.
Now, ocelots, we have pictures of ocelots. They're adorable.
They are adorable. And
probably
especially,
fatal.
Yeah, slightly fatal.
That's right.
It's a tiger, right?
Yeah, it was an adorable tiger. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like it's got the performance of a cat. But I'm telling you, this is giving me shades of the Mac OS X lust here a
That's
bit.
what I thought.
Yes, maybe they're following along in that footstep there.
Kind of in the whole Unity dock
Yeah.
also has some, and the notifications feel very growl-like.
Very growl-like.
I just gotta
Also dangerous.
yeah, you got a real
It's a
cat
thing
theme
going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. We'll
Mark Shuttleworth has talked a lot about how he likes the Mac experience, so he wants to replicate the
Yeah.
Mac experience on Linux desktops. What do you think about that? You're a Mac guy, right?
I am a Mac guy. I
You're
use a Mac all the
guy.
time. I use an iPhone and everything. It pisses off my audience. But,
So I mean, like you're like.
but you're
one of
just
those,
honest about it. It's like
I am.
that's
I'm
what
straight
works
up with
for
it,
you.
right.
Yeah, so you're like one of those guys that straddles the fence. You're like an open sourcey guy and a Mac guy.
I'm
all
a
at the same
practical
time.
guy. At the end of the day, I've got to get work done no matter what application and stuff I'm using. And I find that the OS X experience works better for me as a base platform. Now, I run a lot of open source software in there. I compile GNU Emacs every morning on it. I'm that kind of guy.
Wait.
It's his good morning
Yes.
routine.
You do not.
I'm a smoke tester for OS X for the GNU Emacs
That's
development team.
awesome.
You're
Yeah.
totally yanking my chain right now.
No, that's what I do.
Nobody does that.
That's what I do.
Nobody
I
does
seriously
that.
do. It takes
I like
10 or
that.
15 minutes every morning.
It's like while you make your coffee or whatever,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You
Morning
build
build.
Emacs every
Every morning, yes.
Why on God's green earth would you do
That's
that?
pretty hard to beat as far as geeky goes.
Emacs has been around for like 100 years.
But there's like 20 or 30 patches every day. So I'm helping track
Wow.
as the project goes along. Yeah.
I had no idea.
There's a
wait,
lot of active
just-
development on that.
No, okay. Just to ask.
Right.
Within the last few weeks, you've been building it all this time.
Right.
What new has happened in Emacs? I mean, like, what are you getting?
I
these
never pay
patches?
attention. I just make sure that it builds.
Yeah.
So it's just like a habit now.
Yeah, well, and I, it's nice because if they break the build, I'm like the first person in OS X to report it, and I use Git bisect to figure out what particular item gets broken, but I've never contributed a line of code,
Right.
mind you, except back in like 20 or 15, 20 years ago, I wrote the pretty printer that's in GNU Emacs.
Oh, okay.
Pretty printing Lisp.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Richard Stallman actually called it brilliant code.
Brilliant.
And
You ought to
he
get back
incorporated
into
right
it then.
away. Yeah.
Well, that's great. But now that you've been on this show,
Yes.
he will only swear at you.
He does that now
Sorry.
anyway.
Okay, good.
Well,
Because
so
I'll say Linux rather than GNU Linux.
what have you
just to
thought of
piss him
what have you
off.
thought of Linux Fest so far?
I saw a couple of presentations yesterday that were interesting, but it turned out to be from two Perl guys, which was sort of weird. I didn't
that's
know-
right up your alley, though.
There was a Parrot VM talk, which was kind of cool, and
Nice.
And there was a talk on using continuous integration, continuous testing based around Git, which was pretty good too.
Yeah,
So
I bet.
Nice.
and both those are Perl guys, so it was kind of fun to
Very
be on
cool.
the show and
Nice.
listen.
Lots of cool sessions here this year, but
Yep.
we have not left this room.
Pretty much been here for the whole
We
time.
bailed out of the last session in this room just so we could walk around the exhibit hall for a few minutes to say we were there.
Yeah.
I know how that was because 2 years ago I really had to help man the Linux Fund booth. I'm doing that sort of this year.
Yeah.
But Scott's got it all taken care of, so there's really not much for me to do. So
Very
I'm able to walk around. And
So are
see
you
things.
up here as part of the Linux Fund group?
Yeah. In fact, I drove a minivan from Portland with David Mandel and Scott, who are the two.
Oh, no,
other
yeah, you
guys.
drove up here.
I drove up here from Portland.
And you're
yeah.
from Oregon. Oh, Portland. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
not from LA. No,
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
be
yeah.
a little bit of a tricky.
Yeah.
I'm working in LA now, so I flew to Portland, rented a minivan at the airport.
Oh, boy.
Which was pretty fun. And then I picked them up the next day and drove up here. And then when I go back, I'm dropping the minivan off of the airport and flying back out. So
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, you're a dedicated dude.
That's
I am
ridiculous.
sometimes, yeah.
yeah, 'cause
That's-
we're
that's
just coming
hardcore.
like an hour away. So
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the minivan's great though because they have a jack for my iPhone to feed
Nice.
directly into the audio system, and I was playing Jonathan Colton on the way over
There you
here.
go.
Code Monkey. These
Getting yourself
other
in the
guys
mood.
Had never heard Jonathan Colton before, so I had to
you're
like share
sharing
it
it
with
with
him.
them.
Oh yeah,
Well
They're going,
done.
he's pretty good. Yeah.
Well
So,
done,
yeah.
man.
very cool.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us.
you.
No, that was very great. So we wanted to get you on the show to say hi to everybody because we've had people in the audience say, hey, if you see Randall there, say hi to him for us. So we absolutely did.
There we go.
All
We
right.
have now said hi to Randall.
There you have it. All right, everyone. Well, I think that's all the news for this week.
All right, so because we are at LinuxFest Northwest, we got a lot of cool people here we can actually sit down and talk to, so we would be remiss if we didn't include some of the cooler ones. So with us today here is Alan Clark, part of the, let's see, how would you say it? The SUSE project?
The SUSE
Susie project?
Yeah, the SUSE project.
SUSE project.
That's how I say it.
That's how you say it?
Chairperson for the SUSE project.
So you're the chairperson. You're like
SUSE
the man
project.
with the plan, right?
Yes. Well,
He's the chairperson for the Open SUSE project, I believe is the official title he gave us. That's pretty impressive.
we have a lot of fun.
He also sits on the board of directors for the Linux Foundation.
Yes.
So you do a lot of cool stuff in the Linux world. I have a lot of cool stuff.
I have a lot of fun. I'm involved in a lot of areas.
All right, so what exactly does the chairperson for the Open SUSE project do?
Participate in a lot of meetings.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Try to get a lot of people to come and join and have fun with us.
Nice.
And get in trouble.
Wait. I got a lot of other stuff I want to talk to you, but let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
What kind of trouble are you talking about here?
Oh, nothing.
Can you give me an example?
Nothing serious. Nothing that some policeman will knock on my door about.
You've gotten into?
No, I haven't gotten in any.
You've made some people mad then, right?
Sure, you have to make a few people mad, right?
Who'd you make mad?
Oh, no, we're not going to go into that. This isn't Oprah. We're not telling secrets here.
That'd be fun, though.
This is all about secrets.
There's nobody watching.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Studio audience, secrets?
Secrets are good. Yeah.
Ooh,
They want secrets.
No, actually, no, we don't want to talk about secrets. No, but if you... Serious. No,
right.
I mean, if we have people that are not behaving, right, we have guiding principles within the project. And if they're not
Yeah.
sometimes you guys have to
You gotta be the
say-
hammer for the
You gotta be
important
the hammer and say, would you please leave?
I understand.
And
That is
sometimes
very,
falls
very,
to
very,
you, 'cause
very infrequent.
You're the guy.
Somebody has to do it, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And what about your responsibilities on the board of directors for the Linux Foundation?
Oh, no, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Right?
yeah, so what do you guys
I was
do right
actually
now?
surprised
Yeah.
yesterday because we did a session and I asked people, I said, there's the Linux Foundation sponsors a few people that we're aware of, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually asked them, I said, so who do you know that's very famous that sponsor the Linux Foundation sponsors and they're a fellow for the Linux Foundation? Nobody knew the answer. I was very surprised. And as soon as they said his first name starts with an L, they kind of went, oh, Linus. I went, yeah, you got it. So,
Oh, that's good. That's a good one to remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Linux Foundation. Very good.
Very cool.
Very, very good. Yeah, it kind of goes together.
Great guy, by the
hand in
way.
hand.
Very nice guy.
So you guys work to pay his daily living and things like that?
Yeah, they try to make sure he's happy and
Good.
is free to do what he needs to do.
Well, very good.
You guys are the guys responsible for making Linus happy.
Yeah.
Well, at least monetarily.
I don't know if Linus would say it that way. We're trying to make sure that he's free to do what he needs to do.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
They're not, but obviously they're not there to tell him what to do. No way. Right? We're just trying to make
just
sure
to kind of enable him.
facilitate him, make sure he's, make sure
You're
he
an
can
enabler.
pay the power bill.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
So, just to throw this out there, I know a lot of really interesting guys that could use enabling. I just do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Quick show of hands. How many people would like to be enabled?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That's odd.
You don't see me on the payroll. Sorry.
Fair enough.
So when you come to these things, are you here as the OpenSUSE guy, or are you kind of wearing both hats?
I'm here as the OpenSUSE guy.
Okay.
Nice.
And what's that involve? Like, are you going around just kind of shaking hands and telling people about the project?
No, well, we've come here to do a couple sessions and talk about OpenSUSE. We also set up a booth over there. And
Very great.
Let's
booth,
talk about
actually.
that a little bit. So, it kind of seems like you guys are showing off a little bit.
I love it.
Because if you go over to the booth, and we'll try and get some pictures or video of this, but it's a little ridiculous. So,
Great. It's a great booth.
part of what makes LinuxFest Northwest cool is that it's very homebrew. Is that a good way to put it?
Low key, maybe.
It's very low key, so a lot of community-driven
overdid it,
booths. And like the Ubuntu guys literally have a table that is not as nice as this table. It's like a classroom fold-out table, and a little sign that's from a local, like, you know, Ubuntu user group.
The Washington
they
Ubuntu
have a
user
couple
group,
of CDs, and they're really great people. They're handing out cool stuff. But then you look across the way, like a couple of tables down, is the OpenSUSE booth with SUSE Studio set up there, and then they have this huge kiosk and this giant wraparound
with like
booth.
a black piano pillar standing there with a touch screen on it.
Not just a touch screen, but it's like a big vertical, crazy, like 24-inch odd touch screen. It's totally cool looking.
You guys stepped it up. I love it.
It's like
awesome.
something you'd see at like Comdex or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and we actually do use it. Well, we don't do Comdex anymore. I don't know.
You guys
if
can bring
anybody
it
does
around with
Comdex
you, yeah.
anymore.
I think Comdex
But we
is
do
dead,
it
right?
like
Comdex
Linux
dead?
Conf.
I don't know.
Who knows? Who cares? But we do use it at LinuxCon and other places like that.
Very
And
cool.
You know what? If you've ever seen my handwriting, you know why we didn't do a poster with, you know, my handwriting on it.
Right, yeah.
Trying to spell Linux, but
Yeah, I can manage that myself.
and seriously, it's not, well, the kiosk is heavy, but setting up that backdrop, you know, it's one of those expandable things, and
Yeah.
Well, it
hanging
came.
with
I
magnets.
saw
Were you out
some
there and see that
I saw
crate?
some pictures about it. Yeah, it's like this like 20-ton gigantic
Yeah.
coffin-sized crate
Yeah.
that just appears, and you guys had like this lift thing.
and I actually call it the coffin.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
We actually had I sent it to LinuxCon, and they brought that crate in, right?
Yeah.
Into this locked, what they thought was a locked room, and the only people in there were the conference organizers, and all of a sudden our gentleman we had come up to set up the booth appeared, and they thought. All these people freaked out. They actually thought we shipped him in this
Oh,
crate.
wow.
Because it's that size. They were like,
Is that a...
It's a hell of an entrance.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
seriously.
quite the entrance. It really is, but it's fun. We built that kiosk so that we could show off SUSE Studio.
Which is very impressive.
Nice.
It's very impressive, isn't
SUSE
it?
Studio is awesome. We got a video on it that James did earlier, and that should be coming out.
Oh, good.
Yeah, look, he did a great job, and it was a great presentation. People, I think, were really impressed. We talked to a few folks after the presentation, like, I didn't know we could do that. That's really cool.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, it's so we really wanted to make it stand out because it is.
Well, you guys
It's way
succeeded.
cool tool.
Yeah, I mean,
It
you guys,
really is.
you guys kind of were like the standout presence at the conference this year. So
thank
that's
you.
very, very cool. Here's a couple things I want to ask you.
Okay.
So obviously, this week is the big official changeover. Now, Novell is officially gobbled by Attachmate, or
Yep.
bought by Attachmate, or however you want
Whatever
to term
word
it.
you want to use.
And you know, the SUSE part of it is now kind of part of the Attachmate group, a separate thing. How does that change what you do, and how does that really have any real impact for like the community that rallies around SUSE at this point?
It's positive. It's all positive news. Things are still underway and changing, right? Because as they stated officially, they weren't going to begin the integration work till after the merger was closed, which closed
Right.
last Wednesday. So things
What?
are still.
It's been like 2 days.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on.
like yeah.
Yeah,
You're
really
not
on the
fully
ball.
merged two mega corporate structures in 2 days. Call it.
Yeah.
They're not in it to
Done.
win it.
Yeah, stamp done. No, but the positive news is they're spinning Novell out to be its own business unit. So before it was all integrated.
Right.
Now they're trying
Right.
to make it much more standalone, give them much more independent.
But they're extracting the SUSE section from Novell, and they're bringing it under Attachment, right? Is that how it's
Correct.
working?
Yeah. So they will have a business called SUSE. So instead of Novell, it'll be SUSE.
It'll be its own
Nice.
business division. Is that
Correct.
Wow?
Now, how does that impact you? So if you're kind of the chairman side of things, now is the management going back to Germany, or was it already in Germany? Like, how does
The
that work?
management was pretty much headed out of Germany.
Okay, so that's not a big change.
No.
Okay.
So they have declared that Germany will be the headquarters.
It seems like it could be good for the core, like,
And-
or essence of the distro. Like, it seems that's kind of like where it was born.
Sure,
And
sure. The SUSE has a major presence in Europe, right, and particularly in Germany and France and the Western European countries. So that's very positive. So as far as the community goes, Novell will, I got to learn to say SUSE.
You got to change gears,
right?
yeah.
I got to change gears there. I get used to saying Novell, but SUSE, they've already stated, Attachmate has already stated they're very strong supporters of the community, plan to continue that and give it very strong support. They're going to be very strong supporters and sponsors for the OpenSUSE project.
That's nice to hear. So, and we're not seeing like you don't have like half of the people you work with getting mass layoffs or anything like that going on.
No.
Right. You know, I mean, it's good to hear. There's so much change happening in the Linux world right now.
Yeah.
I think people are looking at stuff changing everywhere, except for in Red Hat, who's sitting stagnant over here. But like just happening all over the place. I think people would like to see that, you know, they can just kind of count on, you know, a project,
Stability.
a company, and exactly.
The message is a message of stability. Now they did announce they're going to do some restructuring. They have to, right? When you take two companies, you got the accounting overlaps and all that kind of infrastructure stuff.
Yep.
But
that's the bummer part of an acquisition, but that's what that's what it is.
But particularly with SUSE, I don't project anything there. It's just nothing but good news.
Good.
That's great.
Planning to invest.
Well,
planning
and
to continue.
the SUSE division was one of the more profitable divisions of Novell, right?
Oh,
so
definitely.
it stands to reason that once it's out on its own business unit, it's going to do fairly well on its own.
So really, this is just bad news for the people who were in the Novell. Got it.
I did not say. I did not say that.
That is an official statement of Alan Clark. So looking forward, obviously the current release of OpenSUSE is awesome.
Just out a month ago.
Any big plans you guys have got, like in the dockets of what exactly the next release is going to look like at this point? What the focus is going to be?
It's a little early to be describing that.
Yeah.
Do you have any cool animal-based code names to throw out?
Yeah, something complicated to say would be best.
No, we're going to call it 12.1.
Oh,
is that an animal?
Oh wait, this is going to be 12.1?
Yeah.
Are you guys going GNOME 3 and 12.1?
Wait a minute.
We actually
12.0?
why start with the .0? No, we had a big discussion.
Oh, yeah.
We actually had a big discussion.
yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's a long.
Wait, start with the 12.0. That's like the first number. That's like 12.
This is one of those areas.
Like 12 is a number.
Yeah.
12.1 is like a number and then another part of another number. It's not a full, just normal number.
That's what makes it special. No.
I agree. I like it. I think it's bold, Brian. It's bold.
I actually kind of like it too, but no one does that.
When you talk about...
Wait a minute. Wasn't there an OpenSUSE 11?
No, it's just you just don't even pay attention to that. Don't worry about that.
11.0, but I mean that's 11. That's statistically.
It's 11.0.
No, .0's are bad luck, man.
Are you SUSE guys? Stop screwing around with me.
It's bad luck.
11.0 is 11.
This is one of those areas.
This is math, dudes.
This is one of those areas where we had a lot of community discussion and actually community vote. They talked about going funky code names and all kinds of weird ideas.
Yeah.
And we took a vote in the community, and they actually liked this model and said we want to continue.
I like it too.
So
I dig it. So what's the next release timeline? When is
it'll be
11
around February next year.
Something like that.
Okay.
I'm looking forward. I want to get my hands on an OpenSUSE GNOME 3 based desktop. That's really what I want.
So actually, you can do that earlier.
Yeah, I know from the gallery, right? Is that
well? Even another way. We're in the process. We built a bunch of CDs, DVDs, based on 11.4 with GNOME 3.
Oh.
But you can't get them from me, unfortunately. We printed off about 10,000 of those. We gave them to GNOME. For GNOME to distribute. So
very cool. So they can have people test.
You guys
and
are
whatnot.
sneaky.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
You get the GNOME developers using the
OpenSUSE
OpenSUSE
out there.
Yeah.
No, this is good sneaky.
Very smart.
I like this stuff.
I like that.
You can't get it from me. You can't get it from an OpenSUSE booth. You got to get it from the GNOME guys. Unfortunately, the GNOME guys here don't have them yet. We've given them to GNOME, but they haven't.
They haven't disseminated down to the ranks.
Well,
That's
happen.
okay.
So the next few weeks,
it's a good plan, though.
Plus, you can grab the ISO. I mean, if you need to, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when we did our GNOME 3 review, I'm not going to say GNOME. I'm just not going to. It's gnome.
Hey, that's another one. You know, we should have a contest.
We should.
Is it gnome or gnome? Oh man, we've had lots
get
of
some polls going.
Yeah, get some polls going. There you go. I want to see those polls, guys.
Before we let you go, we need to talk about the name of Susie or Sousa or whatever. So we have always pronounced things incorrectly. In fact, we did such a bad job in our first 50 some odd episodes we were doing this show. We actually have taken a stance of we are going to pronounce this wrong, because then we can say, oh, of course we pronounced it wrong. We meant to.
I used to do things like I'd try to vary the pronunciation every time I said it in a particular episode. That way I just say it every possible way, but that's obnoxious.
It's hard to do.
Yeah. I gotta think about it. It throws me off.
It's hard to do. So what is the official pronunciation of Open Sousa?
It sounds good to me. Sousa.
Sousa?
Now we heard Sousa.
It's Susie?
Susie.
Sousa.
Sousa.
Sousa. Okay. Sousa.
I like
Seriously.
Sousa.
So for you guys watching the show, before we started recording, the room as a whole worked on this, trying to get this to get us to be able to pronounce this right. I'm not going to be able to do it.
Can you say it the same way you say John Philip?
Sousa. Or Sousa phone. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: what screwed me up is the capital S's early on. You know, because then I thought I was.
Oh, they did the variations on all of that.
Yeah, the variations were what messed me up.
No periods. It's all capital letters, no periods, S-U-S-E.
And the open part is all lowercase.
Lowercase.
There you go.
Okay, that's the official way to do it.
That's the official way to do it.
I like that.
Okay.
It's like I'm yelling the Sousa part.
We're gonna get it wrong on the show notes. We're gonna get it wrong on the show, but I appreciate you getting us correct.
All right.
That's very nice.
Just get them in there in the notes. That's what I care about, right?
All right.
Very
We'll
good.
try.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for working on the Open Sousa side of things. And
thanks for keeping Linus happy.
Foundation. Yeah. Thanks for keeping Linus happy, because hey,
that's what we're there for. Right?
I think we like him.
So. All right. Well, thanks, Alan.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
And that brings us to the end of this week's live in person at
live.
the festival. Totally awesome broadcast.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, as usual, you can go to linuxcolony.com. That's the forum.
Jupiter Colony.
JupiterColony.com?
Yep, not Linux Colony.
I'm done talking, man. I can't say words anymore.
I'm sorry, it's just been like that for like 10 years.
Facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting.
Jupiter Broadcasting.
You can go over to Twitter.com and type in various words, and you will find us there. Mm-hmm. Those are fun things to do. Jupiter Broadcasting, that's our website, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's
we should say, we do the show live over jblive.tv every single Sunday
I guess.
at 10 a.m. Pacific, or, like right now, at LinuxFest Northwest. It's been a good show.
It's been a great show.
Thanks to Alan for coming on the show and chatting with, and thanks to Randall for stopping by and doing the last news.
And thanks for everyone. Everyone say hello to the entire internet.
Give yourselves a hi.
All right.
There you go. All right, I think that just about wraps up this week's episode of the Linux Action Show, and we'll see you right back here next Sunday.
This week on the Linux Action Show, we're on location and rocking the action live. We'll give you the highlights from LinuxFest Northwest and get the inside scoop on this week's big stories. Then we'll inform your face with attachments, big plans for Sousa, plus so much more. All this week on the Linux Action Show.
This week on the Linux Action Show, we're on location and rocking the action live. We'll give you the highlights from LinuxFest Northwest and get the inside scoop on this week's big stories. Then, we'll inform your face with attachmates, big plans for Sousa, plus so much more. All this week on the Linux Action Show.